Hello. I am Andra Annette, and this is CJ.C Boyd, and welcome to Branches of Prosperity. So, in my everyday life, I am a nurse, a holistic practitioner, a leaky gut, thyroid, and weight loss expert, and I put women in a body they love. I'm also an international best-selling author, and now I'm writing songs as well as books. So, I'm having a lot of fun out here. Please help me welcome CJ. CJ, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, I'm CJ, and in my real life, I am um, a woman on a mission to help other women at the age of 50 who are recent empty nesters just really come back home to themselves, forget about all the rules and roles and responsibilities that we played, set those aside and just really dig deep and say fuck yes after 50 to who they are deep inside and live a life that they love.
I love that. I love that. It gets better every time you say that. So, so on Branches of Prosperity, we've been doing a lot of talk about having multiple streams of income because if you only have one stream of income, it's really hard to manage households and situations and things that come up. So, my husband just had surgery. Can only use one arm, right? But he is retired anyway. But it's essential for me in my business to have other streams of income because if you're only focusing on one area of your business, growth is slower. And you do have to always pay yourself first. So if I've never said that before, I am saying that right now. You do have to pay yourself first. So before I pay my team, before I pay anybody else, I do take money aside for me because I'm the one that's out here doing all this crazy work, right? So I want to be paid, right? So, because time is money, money is time. So, how do you feel about A, paying yourself first, right? And B, like just like focusing on multiple streams because a lot of people, CJ, you and I know that some people have time management issues, right? And they're like, I can barely handle this business. Never mind adding this stuff in and this stuff in. But I personally feel like it's a little easier. So I have a lot of things that I'm part of, like the branding you, the Epic Slim with you, just like Isaiah, like a lot of different things, but they all serve different purposes, right? So there, when I first came online, I wasn't sure what of my own I was going to sell. I knew I wanted to help people with health, right? But I said, well, let me see what other people are putting out there. And that's how I wound up in this branding university. And it turns out I didn't have to sell anything if I just wanted to sell his stuff. And
Yeah,
I get 75% of that commission, right? So that's not bad, right?
no, not at
So
all.
yeah, so you get 75%. You can brand it as your own. He walks you through how to do it, how to sell it, how to market it, all that stuff. And I love these people and they're on to something else now that I also just got in. So I said I can't say no because I know how good this guy is, right? Um, and nobody knows what it is, but they all know that he's that seven-figure guy, right? So they're all following, waiting to see when it drops because they know that this is going to drop, right? So, um, but it is difficult to keep up with all the chats, all the emails, all the Facebook groups, and all that stuff. So, um,
Absolutely.
I find a way to just skim and see what I really need, what really applies to my business. Because if it doesn't align, you and I have said this many times, it's not going to be something that I do. So he could be very well another, this could be another $1 million thing that he's doing. But if it doesn't align in some way, how it will fit, I don't know. Right. So will I do it? I don't know. But I couldn't say no to at least taking a look at it, right? And that's what you have to do. Because that's what fuck yes after 50 has a lot to do with. It's about saying yes to yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what if tomorrow
So,
I wake up and I say, I'm done with health. I want to go over here now, right? I have those other options. So it is about creating options for yourself too. And so what's all your thoughts about that?
So I want to go recircle back to the whole idea of paying yourself first. And I just want to speak to the people who have ever had a brick and mortar. I had a brick and mortar cafe for 18 months. I never paid myself. I did not come out of there with a paycheck. I busted my butt from 4:30 a.m. until 12:30, 1:30 a.m. the next day. Would go home exhausted on the couch, set my alarm, make sure I got up and did all the things. But I had in my head this idea of how much I had to make every single day, how many customers had to come in, how many cups of coffee I had to sell to be able to make all the bills. But I never thought ahead to put any money in an account and pay myself. And the number one thing I want people to know is you have to pay yourself, because when I was forced to close down, I had put money away into savings, but towards operating expenses, towards the building, permits and all those things, but never for myself. So very quickly, when money wasn't coming in, all those bills still needed to be paid, but I wasn't paying myself. So when I went through all that, $20,000 worth of savings, and I could not reopen because of pandemic, I was left with nothing. So had I paid myself, I would have had an account with all kinds of money in it and going, okay, I'm okay. I can float for 6 months, 12 months, whatever. So the idea that you put all your money back into your business, I'm all for investing in yourself, but I also am a very strong believer that you need to pay yourself first, like Andra said, so that you have a fallback. If something goes south or an emergency comes up, you have money sitting there that's just for you to be able to use. And don't be like, oh, I'm short on this month, I'm going to tap into that. No, leave that money, let that money grow and build for you so that you have something to show for all your hard work. Because I'm sitting here kicking myself because, a lot of people told me that put so much aside for taxes, which I did, put so much aside for, expenses, which I did, but I never listened to the put some money aside to pay yourself first. And so that's the one thing I want for people to lay in. Pay yourself first, then pay your people, then pay your expenses, and be smart about it. So that's that. That's my rant on that. As far as like, you know, just be willing to say yes to you, to things that you want to do, things that light you up, but don't say yes to things that are not aligned with your energy or what your ultimate vision is. I mean, for a long time when I came online, I was like, I'm just gonna throw, it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall, hoping something to stick. And you lose all kinds of momentum, you lose all kinds of like energy and excitement about the things that you really want to create, because you're investing time into all these things, just hoping and praying that something's going to work. So when you really just take a step back and you sit with yourself and go, okay, what is my true vision? What is my purpose? What is it that I want to create? And only say yes to those things that are coming in that align with that soul purpose and also help build that ultimate big vision that you have. I see a lot of people even coming into my DMs who are like, oh, I just tried this new thing, you should try it. And it's like, it has nothing to do with anything that remotely interests me. Why would I spend my time and my energy investing in something that I know is gonna like make me feel ick on the inside? It's it's something that makes my skin go, no, not for me. Because a lot of times I would just say yes because one, I thought that these people were my friends, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it because I believe in them. Or oh, well, what if it works? What if that is the next big
Yeah.
thing? And I've been burned so many times because I didn't sit back and go, okay, let me think about this for a second. And is it really going to benefit my vision of being able to help support other women in the long run in that bigger goal and that bigger vision? So I've really like taken a step back, and it's really been really beneficial for my mental health as well as just my personal growth by not saying yes to everything.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people out there just selling like bullshit. So I saw something the other day. Now I'm the gut health expert, right? So contrary to what everybody out there is saying they am, I actually am that person,
Yes.
right? You know, and I saw someone selling a pill that reduces inflammation or it repairs the gut, it does this, and I was like, not possible, right? Because there's so many different elements to that piece. And then I looked at the person that's selling it, who's grossly overweight, right?
Yep.
So if this works, are you trying the product or are you selling the product? Because you look so unhealthy. So you are the forward facing person in your business. I say this all the time. So if you look all frazzled and all unhealthy and like you're just trying to make a sale, it makes you really look very desperate, which
Yep.
mean, and if people aren't buying from you, then nobody likes you or trusts you, right? So there's a reason for that. Or you're not marketing to the right people, you're not doing the right thing, right? I was
Agree.
doing an author's show with someone, and she called herself a happiness coach, right? But she had so much trauma in the past, and she is that person that is just like makes you happy. But I said, you got to find a way to combine this with what you're so good at because you've made it through that, right? So now I see she's doing that. So somebody else must have put that bug in her ear. And it's so fitting. If you heard her story, that I could see her getting people to that result because she is that healed version, right? So it has to align with you. So um, I recently bought a marketing agency. So did I need it? No, no, but it was such a good deal, right? And I said, well, I could use this, and I absolutely can. So every once in a while, I go in there and I say, well, how can I use this? Let me see what I can do with this, right? But it's all part of that greater vision, right? So I'm also the person that came on online that couldn't even turn on, like, didn't know what to do once I turned on the computer, and I was trying to learn how to post and stuff. And now I'm posting on 15 different platforms, right? So there's a pattern of growth no matter where you are. So a lot of people will tell you in business whether you're focusing on one thing or you're focusing on everything. So I'm that everything girl. I'm that omni marketer, right? I think it's just as easy to grow everything at once as it is to do one, right? So but I really think that people don't understand that there are stages. Nobody comes online making that millions of dollars. So in the meantime, these different pieces that you have that are assets in your business, right? So everything we create out here are assets, right? So these are additional assets that you can use to leverage your business, to meet people, to build community, to really focus on other areas of business. So I've never heard anybody complain that they have had too many assets. Never, like the guy, oh, I have too many houses, I have too many cars for me, right? But it does there does need to be some semblance, and not where they're just all freely moving parts and none of them connect, right? So I made that mistake. I had all these different pieces and I was trusting people to connect them, and they weren't doing those pieces. So I'm spending a lot of time on the back end connecting things the way I want them to, not the way they thought I meant, even though there were explicit explanations about what I wanted. So I'm reconnecting things. So it really is me and my vision going all the way through, right? So it takes some time, and that's okay because I got nothing but time, nothing but time. But because we are connecting and with so many different people out here, and like every time you're on a call, like we're on a show, we are talking about things in our business. We are sharing ideas with people to help them grow their business. But you are creating assets while you're out here. And I just want to put this thought in your head. You do have to protect your assets, right? So if you're posting everywhere and you don't have a logo on you that someone says, okay, this is Andra Annette, there's her logo, or this is CJ.C Boyd, she's that fuck you ass after 50, right? Then people can just take that, download it, and stick it in their group, right? So you're working really hard at building your business, and someone just comes along and just takes your whole thought concept and just moves it over here. And I see that happening a lot out here because there's nobody. I mean, there's not a lot of original things out here. People, you hear a lot of Tony Robbins coming out of little Tony Robbins mini me's. They're all over the place, um, and people are about duplicating your stuff, right? If they see it works and stuff like that. So spend some time branding yourself and putting that, that there, that tattoo on there that says this is who you are, you know what I mean? Um, and stuff like that. Like and it's not as difficult as people think, because that happened to me a lot in the beginning. I saw that was happening to me, and I just started sticking my stuff on everything. But even now, like I'm creating. AI is very big and it's a very useful tool, but people can take your idea and recreate it into something else, right? but they can't if you have the branding rights and it's copyrighted already in a book form or a song form and you own those rights, because then we got big legal issues, right? So that's why I'm saying it's own that stuff, take control of that assets, copyright it, stamp it, do whatever you have to do to control your assets in business, right? So that you're not in court later on, or you're not fighting with someone, or people aren't just replicating your hard work, because we do all work hard out here. Money is time, time is money. So protect your time, protect your peace, slap your name on that and say, got it, right?
Absolutely.
It
I
takes
think
two
too,
seconds.
I think too, a lot of times, you can see the people who are just like going into Chat GPT and going, okay, create this thing for me. And it's great. I think Chat GPT is a great tool, but you also got to make it be your own spin, make it be your own voice, your own purpose, your own mission, not just like put something in there and then let it write it and then slap it up there like it's yours, because people can see that coming a mile away. So you want to have that personal thing that's just you, to make people like go, okay, I know this is CJ. They're saying it's CJ, but it doesn't sound like her, So like you said, it's just really important to own your stuff and to like just really protect your assets, like you said, so that your hard work and effort and people don't fall into the trap of getting involved with somebody that they think is you when it's not really you.
Yeah, today I'm doing a challenge that I've been doing for a while, and people were always setting up lead magnets and stuff for that. I was paying people to do that, right? So I have one coming up, and I went in and I changed it. I said, I already have this. I'm not going to recreate the wheel. Let me just go in and make some changes, right? So I went in and I did that 6 months ago. I couldn't do that, right? But I went in there and I changed that, and I said, well, now I got to buy it and see if it works, right? So I bought it, and I said, well, where's that email telling me where to go now? It
Right.
wasn't there, so that wasn't connected in the previous one either,
Oh wow.
which is concerning, right? And then I went back to the thank you page, and there was a little button that said shop now, and which didn't make any sense in the challenge whatsoever. But I said, let's see what happens when I click it. It brought me to where the challenge would begin, but people need very clear directions, right? So then I had to go in and create a page. Hey, thanks. You're in the challenge. This is what you're gonna do. You can, everything's on its way to you, or you can click this button here, right? To get in, right? So, but when you have so many moving parts in your business, and you think that you're keeping a lookout on things, little things like this can basically cut you off at the stop, right? Because you're putting a lead magnet in there, like, why isn't nobody signing up? Because I'm not getting messages that people are coming in, and it's not your lead magnet; it's something that's just not connected, right? So everything in your business has to be connected, right? Everything,
So all the moving parts have to come together and work together.
all the moving parts. I said today, I said I'm going to start a newsletter. Here you go, right? So, so what else can I do that I haven't done yet? Because it's all about teaching yourself and growing. So a lot of people talk about growing online in your business to six figures, seven figures, but the growth is way beyond money, because the things I'm doing today, I never ever pictured I could do. CJ, when you and I met, we were two totally different people those
Yep.
few short years ago. And the things that we're doing now are so different. We've both grown so much, and we've met a lot of really great people out here, and we've met a lot of bad people out here. And that's what keeps us coming to give you some of these tips. So if you can learn from our mistakes, why not? Right? But just put some thought into your business, create that vision for yourself, and decide what it is you want to do. Don't think too much about it. You just get started, right?
Absolutely.
Any last words, Miss CJ?
Just don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. If you have something, don't ever tell yourself that you don't have what it takes. Don't ever allow that thing in your head to get in your way. Just take action and go for it, because we all learn from our mistakes, and every lesson that we learn gets us to where we eventually really want to be. And if we can go through those life lessons and have those things happen, we can shorten the learning curve for everybody who comes behind us. So that's just really amazing.
And one last thing before we let you go, do connect with people that are on the same path, that want to grow their business, and that you can trust, just like, if I have something that's going on with me, sometimes if I just need to vent, I'll be in CJ's chat. You're not gonna believe this, right? So you need that, because it does help reduce the stress, but it's nice to be able to bounce your ideas off other people and get reactions, right? And see, maybe if you can get some help with that, because the more people you meet out here, the more people that you're going to find that, this is their thing, they know how to do this. They can show you how to do this. So it's better to give the business to your friends and people that you trust than to go out there and try and find someone to help you with that might not be so credible and might not deliver, right? So just keep that in mind. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Any last words, CJ?
I think you cut it. I got it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Branches of Prosperity. I couldn't say that today. I don't know what's the matter with me today. The rain in New York is driving my mind crazy. But we'll see you next time. As always, to your health.